This is Lisa Cummings with Interdyne Artists, and I have Martin Olson, who is going to be presenting from E1 Solutions, their PopDock software product. And on the line, we also have Naomi Olson, Adam Darnell, and Joe Barb from E1 Solutions. And we also have Chelsea Schlepp and Ashley Canali from Interdyne. So we are going to be demoing the PopDock software, accessing all your cloud and on-premises data from all one easy-to-use app. So if you could click to the next slide. If you have any questions, if you'll just put them in the queue, we'll answer them at the end of the session, and that way we can keep moving through the presentation quickly. Once the presentation is done, you will be getting a recording of it so that you can review it as needed. So be looking out for that email afterwards. And also, our Vision Conference is coming up in April, so if you have not already gotten registered for that, go ahead and do so now. This year it is a 2-day conference, and so we encourage everybody to attend both days because there's going to be just a whole lot of information and breakout sessions that you'll be able to walk away with a ton of education from it. So we're really looking forward to that. You can visit our website and register for that as well. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Martin, and he is going to show us the PopDock solution. So take it away, Martin.
Sounds good. Thanks everybody for taking the time to join us today, and for those that are going to watch it later. I hope you enjoy it. We're going to have some fun with PopDock today. So I am going to look for questions. So don't be scared to enter questions as you come up with them. Enter them into the question area. I'd love to answer them. We can answer some as we go, and we'll get to some at the end. So let's make this interactive. I want to make sure you find out the things you want to find out during this session. So PopDock, we've got a lovely slide there. I want to jump right into what PopDock is. And we know that everybody on the call and anybody that's ever been around Microsoft Dynamics GP loves SmartList. That's our starting point. So what we've done here at E1 is we decided that PopDock is a tool that should give you SmartList functionality for all of the data in your business. We figured that GP is great and special, but you should be able to get to your data like that, to be able to sort it, to filter it, to access it, to share it, to save favorites and get access to your data, no matter where it's coming from. So it shouldn't just be accounting data. You should get access to more data. We also figured that SmartLists should be on your iPhone, that you want access to it on your iPhone, on your Android phone, on a tablet, or on your laptop. So it doesn't matter where you are. And you shouldn't be tied to GP to get access to all this SmartList data. You should be able to get that access to anybody in your company who needs the data to do their job better. So really, PopDock is the future of SmartLists. It means that you can get access to SmartLists via a browser, and you get access to that now and for the next 10 years. So whether you decide that one day you're going to change to a new ERP system, or one day you're going to change to Microsoft's Business Central, or you're going to look at a CRM system or add additional systems, PopDock becomes the single reporting place for all of that data, and future-proofs you over the next 5, 10, 15 years. So getting on board now means you're covered as we go through. There's a bunch of things I wanted to highlight up front, the things that PopDock can do that you can't do with SmartLists. One is access data from other systems. So you can get data from anywhere, and particularly any cloud app. Every business I deal with now doesn't just use Great Plains or Business Central or NAV. They're using Zendesk, and they're using a credit card gateway, and they're using a timesheet system, and they're using Concur, and they're using other expense management systems. So every company's got a whole bunch of places where their data is located. So this lets you give a smart list type environment for all of that data across all of your companies, so and everybody that works for you. So finance can use it, but the marketing team can also use it. So we connect PopDock to things like your Google ads and things like your Facebook ads and your LinkedIn ads. Anywhere you're advertising, the marketing team can see the results of that through PopDock. We can see it on your cell phone, which is something that you can't do with a smart list. You can access it in a browser no matter where you are. I was fortunate enough last week to be sitting on a beach in Barbados in the Caribbean, and I was able to check up on everything going on at E1 by jumping on to my cell phone on a beach chair or on my laptop on the balcony without logging into any of the systems, but I was able to just simply use PopDock to get at the data I wanted to see. The other cool thing is I can start combining data from multiple systems. So if you ever dreamt of a report that says, hey, I need this data out of our CRM system, and I need it combined with our sales data out of our ERP, so GP, but I want to see that in one list. Or I want to grab data from payroll and GP and put it together. Or I need data out of our credit card gateway and then what's happened in our ERP and see that combined. Something our accountant does every day here. So she's looking at credit card gateway data. So when Interdyne artists process an order with E1, that goes through our credit card gateway and ends up in GP through our integration. But we want to make sure it happened in both. We want to make sure it's going in both. So we have a report that combines data from two systems. The other thing PopDock will let me do is run any of these queries inside Excel, and we will show you that. And finally, it lets you embed data. So sometimes there's people in your CRM team and your sales team that need to know data about a customer or invoices or cash receipts or did things ship. So you're able to embed data out of another system in the system where that person needs to see it. So it might be putting cash receipt information into CRM, and that means the finance team never gets a call again from the sales team going, hey, did we receive the cash? Did we receive the cash? Because you're embedding that against the account in CRM, and they can see if you got the cash. So that kind of thing gets really exciting with PopDock. So I won't go through the rest of this. I'm going to jump into product because that's what you came to see. One thing I will touch on this slide, for those of you that use SmartList Builder, so you've got SmartList and SmartList Builder, and that's your ability to configure your own reports based on any data. PopDock gives you all of that functionality across any system you want to work with. So not only do you get what we built out of the box for you, you can build your own custom reports everywhere. This slide's just showing that you can connect to just about anything. So whatever the data source is that you would need to pull into your system, whatever cloud app you've chosen, we can bring that into PopDock. If there's one that we haven't yet built in, let us know. It takes us 3 or 4 days and we can add it for you. So we can build that into the PopDock environment. So we're open to feedback, and if you've got something you want to connect to, let us know and we can pull that in. Access to anywhere we talked about. So let's jump straight into some demo. Let's do this. I'll just share my screen here. 1 second. So unlike SmartList, to access all of this data, you would need to log into Great Plains. You need to have a license for GP or a license for Business Central to get access to reports. Here, I'm not logging into any of those. I'm logging into popdock.com. And this is what I did from my balcony in Barbados. I came in and I clicked login simply on this browser. It had my login and password, which connects me to all of my reports, connecting to all of the systems that we use at E1. So in here, this is where I start my day every day. Now, what I want to know, first of all, is what we've been selling. So I come to a tab here called GP Today. So if I click on GP Today, that's just a favorite inside SmartList. Same concept, but it's a tab across the top of this screen. My little man here, Skippy, we call him, he runs off and he's going off to our Great Plains server, which is in Microsoft Azure, somewhere in wherever Microsoft stores our system, and brings me back all of this data. Now, just like SmartList, I can do all the things you can do in a SmartList. So here I've got our product, our date, who the customer was, what we sold, how many of them, and what the price was. You can see we've sold some pretty cheap stuff here. But it's important to me was to go and add some columns. I've got all of the data related to these sales in this same screen. So here I can come down and say, let's grab, or I can search, let's grab the city. I'm going to take the city and I can add that column into my report. And Skippy's done, we'll have the city column in here as well. Now I can take the city if that was important, and I can drag that to wherever I'd like and move those columns around. And I can sort. So if I wanted to sort by the customer, I click the column and it now sorts by the customer name. If I want to sort by the price, I can do that. And I'll click here. Let's do this. Now it's doing it. There we go. So now we've got the biggest prices at the top and the smallest prices at the bottom. So I get control over what I'm seeing. What I then get to do is group and subtotal. So if I want to subtotal this, I can take the city and drag it up to the top. And now it's giving me a group and a subtotal for every city that we've been selling in today. You can see we've sold all over the country, which is kind of cool. Even in Wilmot, Minnesota, that's quite amazing. If I don't want that, I simply turn it off. So I get total control here. I can then do some filtering. So you'll notice at the bottom of the screen, it's giving me a predefined filter that I've got on my favorite. Now that filter says, and this will make sense to some of you, only give me the data where SOP type equals invoice and account amount equals 0, and that's to make sure you've paid. The document date equals today, and it's not been voided, and that's my data set. If I was to switch this, I could switch this to yesterday, or I could switch this to a specific date and say, hey, I want to see everything we sold on Friday, and choose the 18th and rerun that report. So it's now churning off, setting a new query to say, get me a different set of data based upon a different day, and bring that data back into the screen for me. And we've now got, let's see what we got. So we're getting data from last week, and it's bringing all that data into this screen. And I can do the same things with it. So you'll notice I've got a little breadcrumb here which tells me what I'm looking at. So I can see data from any of my companies. Now you can see here we've got 3 companies at E1 and 3 test environments. So I can choose from any of those. Inside of that, I get the same data for any module. So here I've got, sorry, this one here, inventory, sales, company, project, purchasing, sales, and all of my SmartList Builder lists. So anything built with SmartList Builder, I'll get access to in here as well. And I can choose those. I've picked sales, inside sales. I've got my line items, my transactions, my prospects, my customers, and I can choose any of those. Now, when I build one that I really like the list I've got on the screen, I then decide to make it a favorite. And I can save those changes, or I can edit the favorite, give it a new name, and it wouldn't be GP today, it would be GP yesterday, because that's what I changed it to. And then I choose who I share it with. I can share it with a team, or I can share it with individual users in the company so they get to see the same data if it's a report we need to share, or I can be greedy and keep it all to myself and not share it with anyone. And that becomes then a tab across the top that I can access, or a favorite. Now the other thing I can do is I can export this data out to Excel. So if I want to spit this out now, I really like what I've built, I'll hit export. It runs off, and you'll see down the bottom, like every good Windows app, it's created a spreadsheet. I open that up, and it's opened it up on my other monitor. So let me move that for you. And you'll see here in Excel, we've now got all of that data pumped straight out to Excel for me. So I can then do whatever I like working with it in here. It's formatted nicely, and like all good accountants, I can play with that data in Excel. Now, that's the cool thing. So that's how I navigate and the basic intro to PopDock. Where it gets cool is it's not just GP data. So I can go and see data from other systems. So on this tab over here is my accounts tab, So if I click on accounts, Skippy is now running off to Microsoft CRM to get me data out of the CRM environment. So I put a little filter on this one here that said I only want where the name, so the account name, contains the word integrity. Because I was looking for integrity data when I was searching the other day, and I found integrity data here. So I've now got access to every account in our entire CRM system, if I have security, of course, and I can filter and find data in my accounts. Now, when I show columns, all of these fields that in some way relate to the account are available. So I can go and grab any of these fields, their phone numbers, their email addresses, and so forth. And if I put an email in here, let's do that. Oops, I can't type. We'll add the email address. And so what that's going to let me do is actually send an email. So directly from here, if I wanted to send an email to Integrity Data now, I can come in here, click on the email address, and it's going to go off and send an email to them. Except, of course, I don't have his email, but I could send one to Clayton, and that link is going to run off and send an email, which it did on my other screen again, which you can't see. If I dragged it on, it started an email to Clayton for me directly from there. So now I've seen GP data and I've seen CRM data, all in the same look and feel, all with the same column management, all with the same filtering functionality that you're already familiar with. I have another tab here called Transactions. Now, when I click on this one, this is connecting here, as I said, to Braintree. Now, Braintree is a system you may or may not have heard of, but it's our credit card gateway environment. So this runs off now, connects to a cloud-based API, and brings me back the first 100 transactions, which I've asked it to do, based upon my settings and my filtering. Now, here's totally not GP data, but in a smart list environment like you understand and like you would like to work with. So when I go over to columns, again, I've got all of these fields that in some way relate to these Braintree transactions. So I can go and add the customer phone if I had it, their credit card, their currency that they processed in. So I'm going to add the currency field. It's now running the same query to give me live data out of Braintree. Now, why I get really excited about Braintree is, like a lot of cloud apps that you sign up for, the reporting stinks. It really does. So I've got Braintree over here on the left, and we've now got our currency in here. So I can sort by currency, I can group by currency, and we can see we've processed in Australian dollars and Canadian dollars. We'll shrink some of these up. US has been good today on the first 100 transactions anyway. So we can see all that data. Now, if I was to try and do the same kind of thing and the same filtering, so I can add a filter here that said I only get where the amount is greater than $2,000. Or I could say, and the country, let's take that, is equal to, well, let's go contains, to be sure we capture it, United. So now I'm running a query filter on Braintree data without ever logging into Braintree, without ever fighting with that system to get the data I want. Let's see here when Skippy finishes. And I may be in trouble here because it might be called USA, not United States, and so my filter might be incorrect. While that's running, I'm going to jump across to Braintree. So if you were to log into Braintree, this is a cloud app, and in here, if you were to run reports, it is challenging. So when I come to say transactions, I get this wonderful screen with 4,000 checkboxes that determine what I would see. Way more complex than I'd get with the PopDock filtering. Then I've got some amount fields and some select fields here. Then I've got some date range fields, all of which makes for a very complex report. If I was to run it based upon what we've got here, it gives me this report here, but I can't add any data to it. I can't change the columns. It's hard-coded for me. I can't move the columns around. I can't do anything with the data in this screen. If I want to find out more information, I've got to click on the ID. It drills me down to another screen, and now I can't see all of that data for all of the transactions, finding what I want becomes a nightmare. And that's where PopDock has its true value. There you go. It didn't like United States. So let's try USA and see what we get back. We'll rerun that query. So the concept here is no matter who you are and no matter what data you need to pull from no matter what system, you get this single, simple user interface that lets you do everything that you need to do with the data you're getting from PopDock. Let's let Skippy finish this query. No, and I've still broke it. It didn't like my filter at all, so maybe it's not called USA. We'll take that one out. And we'll let him finish. So the concept is now that if I was on popdock.com and I go to connectors, as you as a user, without having to worry about IT and get complex, can add any of these connectors that you see here into your PopDock environment. So whether you want to see Twitter data from your company, whether you happen to use Procore for construction management, whether you happen to still run some QuickBooks stuff or you work through Shopify, it doesn't matter. We can connect to any of those and pull the data back. If you want FedEx data or shipping data, we can tie that in with your invoice data and display for you all the shipping details together with the invoices. Or if your purchasing department wants to track FedEx information and they've got the shipping numbers, they can track all those inside PopDock without logging into FedEx, without logging into UPS, without logging into USPS, and all the different things. So it's a way of getting all the data you want without logging into 15 applications to find out what's going on inside your business. So really that's the core pieces of PopDock and how it works. Now, if I want a new tab, it's as simple as adding here, then adding a new connector. So if I want to get more data, these are the ones I've got configured just for E1 and the things we connect to. And I would simply grab one of these. If I grab GP, because that's the one we know, I get to say, hey, I want to get it out of this company, and I want some, let's go with some financial numbers, and we'll go to account transactions, and we'll take the default view. So by doing that, it's now running off. It's connecting to my GP. It's bringing back my financials. Whoa, I broke my financials. Maybe I didn't want financials. Oh, let's just pull back my chart of accounts and see if that one goes better. So we're connecting now to get that data out of GP, and I get to choose what I want to see. So that's how easy it is, and all of you now become a report writer without having to worry about IT. Now, for some of these, if I wanted to see, if I go back to GP today, what I do get to do is see this graphically if I want. So while I'm seeing it as a list that I can navigate and scroll and export, some people in your company would like to see this as a chart. So if I want to switch into here, it's now showing me by product how many we've been selling on this given date. So this is back to last week, and we can see we had some Smartless Builder sales, some renewals, some extender sales, and then we've got others. Now that's because I said we only want 5 categories. I can say here we want 15 categories, and we're now seeing all of the products we sold and how many of them we sold in a given period. I can see it as a pie chart if I prefer, and you get some of that. So then if I save this one just like this, I can click off to another tab, but always have my little chart here that I come back to, which makes it kind of really cool to go. I'm seeing both list data like SmartList, but I'm also seeing some graphical stuff. Now, we're not Power BI. We're not a big Microsoft data warehouse because all this data is live. We're not storing 5 years worth of data. We're saying, hey, go and get that day's transactions and let me see that in a graph. And that's what you get to see here. All right, a couple more things I want to show you, and then I'll stop talking and we can talk to questions. I promised you that you had SmartList Builder kind of functionality in here. So what I need to do, I'm just going to jump into a new PopDock environment, because on our E1 one internally that I like to show off, my developers banned me from adding new connectors. So that's why I need to come here and do this one. So when I log in here and log in as a different account, Now in this environment, this one's actually connected to Business Central. So if any of you have been looking or thinking about Business Central or NAV, this one's connected to that. So while I'll click on Sales Invoices here, it's no longer connecting to GP. This one, as you can see from the breadcrumb, is Business Central. It's a Kronos company, the sales module, and we're getting back all the sales invoices from Business Central. I can also drill down using actions to go and open that invoice inside Business Central itself if I wanted to. So that's going to drill me back. Let's see if that's going to work for me. Drill me back into Business Central, and would open that in a new tab. Just thinking about what it hasn't done. What I wanted to show you in here though is the Smart List Builder functionality. So when I come into connectors, this is where I control all the things that this PopDock instance is connecting to. And I can come into, say, Dynamics GP, and we'll expand that one out. And this shows me all of the lists that we've made available by default. So these ones here are all default ones that you'll see in PopDock by default. But what you get to do at the bottom is build custom lists. So you can build your own list. If we didn't think of the one, just like Smart List Builder, you can build a list based upon whatever data set you like. So when we go to add a custom list, there's 4 types. I can join lists. So that's taking 2 separate lists from 2 different environments and joining them together in one. So it's a bit like table linking, which we would have done in Smart List Builder. Merging lists is taking 2 sets of data and making one single list out of that data. We've got customers that use that for merging data from multiple companies. So they've got Business Central with 20 companies and they want one list with all the data. That's what they're using it for. Or it might be that you sell on Amazon and eBay and Etsy and you want all that data into one list. So that's what the merge does. You can get a summary list, which just rolls data up, or you can compare lists, which is pretty cool to go give me everything in list A that's not in list B, and it's going to give you, it's a bit like a VLOOKUP in Excel, but it's done directly here inside this environment. So you get to build whatever custom list you like based upon any set of data and joining that data across different data systems. Okay, the last thing I wanted to touch on is I promised you could run this in any environment. So there's 2 environments I want to show you. The first is if we go to, and I talked about Business Central briefly. Let me just go here. I'll go to my Business Central environment. It doesn't know who I am yet. Now I've got to work out how to log in. No. No, it's not taking me where I want to go. Why not? Anyway, well, let's jump out. What I was going to show you there is we've taken the entire product of PopDock and you're able to embed that inside another application. So in this case, just like Smart List sits in GP, we've been able to embed all of that PopDock functionality inside Business Central. We've also been able to take it and embed it in tools like Excel. So let me show you that one. So when I come to Excel, close, do a new tab. So I'm on a new worksheet inside Excel. What I've got here is in my menus an option to insert PopDock data. So instead of, if you don't want to go to the website itself and log into PopDock, run the report and export it, you can start straight in Excel. So here, and it's ready. My internet's a little bit slow, so it's taking a minute to connect. Oh, I've done it twice now. It's going to ask me to log in. So I'm going to have a valid credential, so I can't get access to other people's reports, just mine. So once I've connected, it's then saying, what data do you want to see? So any of the data that I had out of PopDoc, I can get into Excel. So if we take our GP scenario, I want our E1 integrated business solutions. We'll grab it from the sales module. We will take the sales lines, and I want that GP today report that I was showing you. And I click insert data. It runs off and runs the exact same query it would have run if I was inside PopDoc, but it's running it now in the Excel environment. So it didn't care where it is. It's connecting out, grabbing that, and populating the spreadsheet with all that data straight away. So again, sharing it out with people that want to work with the data, super quick way of getting it. Now that add-in here is available in the Microsoft Office App Store. So just going to Office App Store, you're able to find PopDoc and insert it into Excel. Then you can run all of that directly into Excel as well. So kind of that's what I wanted to cover off. That's the core functionality of PopDoc, where it fits, and I hope it's something that you've seen that you're able to use. If I switch back to PowerPoint for just a minute. As you can see, the functionality that we could do, I was adding columns, moving columns, comparing them, lots of filters, data ranges, grouping, subgrouping, adding totals, saving favorites, and sharing it. It's kind of that core functionality. But what I love about it is it means I don't have to go to IT. And more for me, I don't have to log into each of these applications to get the data. I literally haven't logged into GP in 2 years because all of the data I need to run our business is available to me in PopDoc. That's where I go to get the data. When somebody says to me, hey, I've got a support ticket that's outstanding, I don't want to log into Microsoft CRM to go and check. It's clunky, I don't like being in there, I forget my password. So I can come to PopDoc and I can see all the support tickets, I can see if it's outstanding, whether they're telling me the truth, and I can work with it and then make the right contacts. If somebody says, did my credit card go through? I don't want to go into Braintree to check. I can check it straight in PopDoc without running out to another system to find that information out. So that's the beauty of it for me. Now, PopDoc's cheap. So it's something that is a no-brainer for everybody that's listening. Literally $19 a user a month gets you full access to PopDoc, and you can connect to as many things as you like, and you can share it, add users, simply going to add another $19 a month, but run as many reports as you like, as often as you like, and you get full access to that functionality. Again, connecting to anything you like. If you can't find what you want to connect to, let us know, give us a call, and we got a team of people sitting there, Joseph and Adam, who are on the call today, who spend their time adding those connectors to make sure you can get at the data that you want to add. So that's the quick version of PopDoc. I'm really happy to throw to all sorts of questions at this point if you have them. If you don't, I can make some up and answer them myself. But thank you to Chelsea, Ashley, and Lisa for putting this together today. At the E1 side, our best contact is Naomi, who's also on this call today. She looks after Interdyne on behalf of E1. So Naomi will work with you and or the team at Interdyne to make sure that you're looked after as you look at PopDoc. So if you want to dig deeper into it, you certainly can. We can answer any questions. If you've got systems you want to connect to, absolutely let us know and we'll be able to help out. So go ahead.
We do have one question, and the question is, do you know if this works with Chase Payment Tech? Sometimes it's called Orbital.
I think Orbital is something we have looked at. I don't believe it's a full-fledged connector at this point. But as I said, if you want to ask, Joseph has already written that down, so we'll be able to get back to you in a day or two as to whether that's possible and how quickly we can turn that one around if you're interested. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. That was a great presentation. I'm really excited about the product. I can see so many uses for it.
Yes.
And we're super excited when we saw it, way back in the fall. We were really excited about it. So
Yeah, it's been a fun one. I've been showing it to a lot of Microsoft reselling partners recently. What's been interesting though is that most of the ones I've shown it to haven't yet sold it to all their customers, and I call them and say, "Why haven't you sold it yet?" And they say, "Well, because we've been implementing it internally." So all the Microsoft partners have gone, "Hey, that's fantastic." So they're putting it in for their own systems.
Yep.
Their own teams are getting used to it and loving it. And they said, when we're done with that, then we'll go and take it to all their customers. So it's kind of proof for me that the Microsoft resellers are going, that's exactly what we need. You know, and in their case, they're sharing that data out to all of their consultants, all of their sales teams, without having to access more Microsoft licenses, without having to have people log into Great Plains that really shouldn't log into Great Plains, but they can get them all the data they want. So that's it's a fun story.
Yep. I agree. Well, thank you everyone for attending. Should you have any further questions, you can contact myself, Lisa Cummings, Chelsea Schlepp, or Ashley Canali, and we can certainly get those answered for you. And thank you again for presenting today, Martin.
Pleasure.
We really appreciate you guys.
Fantastic, and appreciate you having us along. So yeah, look forward to sharing this with lots of people. So thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye everybody.